clock. It's fucking stupid. Especially now with 7 simul, everyone is pretty much just doing the exact same shit. And because I'm a cheap mother who just plays the easiest character in any video game, I decided to try 7 simul and use it in Vietnam Championships, which is coming up in around a week. So, I'll be trying to do 1,000 solves to see how fast I can get on the clock. But firstly, I have to actually go learn how to do 7 simul. Alright, so I already kind of know the main idea behind the method and kind of how it works because like I've watched this video previously. Anyways, let's get to learning it. Once I started watching the video, it all came back to me pretty quickly. I only really needed to watch the video once and then I kind of got the hang of it again. Alright, so I know how the method works now. I guess let's get to solving, you know? After learning the method, the challenge officially starts. I immediately got to work starting the first solve of the challenge. My memo speed was extremely slow. It took me around 3 minutes to completely memorize the whole thing. And by some miracle, somehow, after flipping the clock over, it was solved. Oh, I did it! 32 seconds. Nice start. Motivated by the success of the first solve, I continued solving, quickly getting my second successful solve. Second success! And just 2 solves later, I got my first sub 30 single. My first sub 20, then sub 15. Yeah, that was fast. And after a while, my first average of 5 being a 16.64. And for some reason, right after that, I said this. Honestly, I'm enjoying clock a little bit more after, you know, learning this method. But literally, like the very next solve, I started to hate this event again. Bruh. Okay, I'm starting to hate clock again because stupid ass and one misturn, the entire solve is gone. But that little rage fit did not stop me. I kept pushing through. A few sub 10 fails later, I got my first sub 15 average, a 14.04. And this was also around the point where I felt like I got faster, getting sub 10 solves and even a sub 9. Yeah. Yes! First sub 9, baby! By the end of the first day, I started to average around sub 15. I did 53 successful solves out of 100 attempts, and that's where I decided to call it quits for the rest of the day. I started off the day with a bang, a PB single, and getting a sub 11 PB average. Oh hey, another PBA05. But this day isn't actually full of hugs and happiness. It was rather a roller coaster ride of emotions. I got a whole load of PBs. Yes! First sub 8! Woo! PBA05, first sub 10. But I also got a bunch of PB fails. Stupid ass event. It's so fucking annoying when you spend so long on the memo and then it just doesn't work. Dude, I keep missing. After all of that fuzzy wuzzy bullshit, near the end of the day, I got my first ever AO12. Oh, AO12. Let's freaking go, bro. That's my first ever AO12. 13.72. And then I also successfully completed 100 solves. Woo! Alright, so after 174 attempts, I finally have 100 successes. And these are my current stats. My PB single and AO5 are both sub 10 now. The single being a 7.68 and the AO5 is a 8.97. The AO12 is a 13.72. My AO100 is a DNF, of course. My current success rate is 57%, having 100 successful solves out of 174 attempts. I guess these times are like decently good for like my first 100 solves ever. And yeah, I then did just like 10 more solves and then decided to call an end and go to sleep for the day. For some reason, every day when I first wake up, I get a PB. And today is a PB single, my first ever sub 7.
Yeah, first sub 7 single.
But besides that one PB single, the rest of the day was really just filled with anger.
What? Why is it always this top one, man? What the heck? I f***ed up. Why is it always the top one? What the man?
There were so many DNFs that completely pissed me off to the point where I actually decided, you know what? I'm gonna look up why they result in a DNF. So I did exactly that. I watched the video explaining why my solves result in a DNF, and I figured out that like 90% of the time, my DNFs are a result of my last 2 letters being wrong. So I started to focus on memorizing the last 2 letters more correctly. Doing that actually paid off really, really well. I immediately got my first ever sub 10 AO12.
Yeah, sub 10 AO12. Let's go.
And just a few solves later, I improved it to a 9.75.
Yes.
Same thing as the previous day, I started off with a PB single, which during editing I actually found out that it's literally the same time as my last PB single, but hey, at least I was happy. After getting those PBs, soon enough I got to 200 successful solves.
Okay, I completely missed that I had successfully done 200 solves, and yeah, I kind of forgot to record like the stats and stuff.
But you know what? We're gonna work with what we got. My PB single is a 679, which I have actually gotten twice. My PB AO5 is 9 seconds flat, AO12 is 9.75, AO100 still a DNF. My success rate is around 65%. It's definitely getting better. My single, my AO5, and my AO12 are all sub 10 now, which I'm pretty satisfied with. And yeah, let's get back to solving. Later that day, I also finally figured out how to solve the cube without 12 o'clock being on top, which is very crucial actually. The first move on 7 Simul is a D move, where you have to use your left pinky. And that is very fucking hard and uncomfortable to do. But if you're able to find an orientation where the first letter is a 0, you can completely skip the hardest turn of the entire solve. The reason I kept doing it wrong was because I was a dumbass.
What's up? I have just learned how to like solve using 7 Simul without 12 o'clock being on top. I kept having these 2 wrong because instead of like here, instead of saying 4 o'clock, I'll say it's -5. And I'm stupid for doing that. Yep, back to solving.
After fixing my motherfucking stupidity, the solving continues. Very quickly, I reached 300 solves. And here we fucking go again. My PB single is a 6.70, PB AO5, 837, AO12, 975. And my success rate is 65%, having 300 successful solves out of 495. Oh yeah, and also, this happened on the same day, which I just thought was too funny to leave out.
Of course,
Now, hold up a minute. If you have noticed by now, I've only really completed around 300 solves, meaning I have another 700 fucking more solves to get through. So, for the next 2 days, I just started mindlessly speedrunning through solves. I quickly reached 500 solves, then 600 solves, then the next day, bada bing, bada boom, 700 solves. Then finally, 800 solves.
800.
only 200 solves remain. So I finally decided to turn on inspection. Because if you didn't know, in a WCA competition, you only get 15 seconds to inspect the puzzle before starting to solve. Meaning I would have to finish my memo within 15 seconds. Or else all of this, it's kinda useless. And you know what? I completely can't memo within 15 seconds. I needed like at least 20 seconds, bro. After the first few panic attacks, I just continued very slowly improving. By the end of these 100 solves, I averaged around 17 seconds on inspection. And now I only have 100 solves left. And the best place to finish these last solves off is obviously in Vietnam. Once I arrived at Vietnam, it was time to do these fucking solves! And boom! Just like that, 1000 solves has been completed.
And I have done 1000 solves. I'm done doing with the clock. I completely underestimated how hard this would be. I am sorry if I pissed anyone off saying 7 simul is cheap. I am wrong. Oh my god. Still can't sub 15 memo.
Solve 1, the nerves really got to me. Surprisingly, I was actually able to get the memo, but I was just too shaky. And I completely messed up. So I had to flip the clock over, fix what's wrong, resulting in a very slow 22-second solve. But that's not the worst of it, because it was a fucking DNF. Somehow, the original face was wrong. Solve 2 went a lot smoother than the first solve. I was again somehow able to get all the memo down. The execution was fine, but I somehow over-inspected. Now, if you didn't know, in a WCA competition, when you inspect for over 15 seconds, or under 17 seconds, you get a +2 penalty. And that's exactly what happened here, ending up with an 8.4 +2. The third solve went pretty terribly. I was only able to get the first 5 letters memorized, so I had to flip over the clock and fix it. The solve was a 10.24, and surprisingly, it was faster than my last solve because of the +2. The fourth solve was pretty good actually. I'll just shut up and you can admire this solve. And bam! Look at that shit, a 7.69. Nice. Of course, right after a really good solve, I had to up the next one. The nerves really got to me on this last solve. I was only able to get 4 letters memorized, once again having to flip the clock over and solve the back, giving me a 13.19 as my last solve. The final average was an 11.28, nearly 1.33 seconds faster than my previous PR, and I never even practiced clock for that. I fucked up. I completely underestimated how hard this challenge would be, but I will come back. The next comp with clock in it, I will get a sub 7 average. Mark my fucking words. Subscribe to this channel so we can get more than 0% female viewership.